Hello and welcome to the all new season 5 of Hashtag Talent and Talks, the Talent Mindset Dialogue series, an exclusive leadership series by the Economic Times in collaboration with LinkedIn. Over the last 4 seasons, we have explored how the world of work is being reshaped at an unprecedented pace. Artificial intelligence, skills disruption, changing workforce expectations, and new business models are transforming not only how organizations operate, but also what it means to build talent for the future. In this environment, the conversation can no longer just be about jobs, roles, or career ladders. It has evolved into conversations about adaptability, learning agility, employability, and the mindset required to thrive amid continuous change. As organizations move forward towards skill based talent strategies and professionals navigate careers that may look very different from those of the previous generations, some questions become increasingly important, like what mindset will define success in the decade ahead? Those are the kind of questions that we want to unpack in this season of Talent and Talks. And to explore that, we are delighted to be joined by two distinguished leaders. Joining us today is Harjeet Khanduja, Senior Vice President HR at Reliance Jio, internationally recognized author, speaker, innovator, and one of the most influential voices shaping conversations around talent, employability, leadership, and the future of work. Welcome, Harjeet.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for joining us. We're also joined by Siddharth Ajmera, Head of Key Accounts at LinkedIn, who works closely with organizations navigating workforce transformation, talent strategies, and the evolving skills landscape. Welcome, Siddharth. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shireen. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much to both of you for joining us today. And with that, let's dive into today's conversation. Siddharth, over to you for the fireside chat.
Thank you, Shireen, once again. Really appreciate this. And Harjeet, thank you for doing this first thing in the morning. Harjeet, you have often said about mindset more than skill set and how it determines the future of success. So let me dive right in and ask you, if you had to identify three mindset shifts that every professional and every leader needs to thrive in the next decade, what would they be and why do you think so?
Thank you, Siddharth. And let me start with a story, and I will tell you three stories
Mm-hmm.
and three mindsets. So I was driving in a Uber. I love driving in Ubers. So I asked the driver, I said, um, "कहाँ तक पढ़े हो? How educated you are?" So he said, "I'm MSc in statistics." I said, "Oh, MSc in statistics. Why don't you come to my office and we can discuss a job?"
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Sir, before taking your call, I was sleeping for 2 hours. Will you allow that in your office?" And that moment I realized that the workforce of today is not looking at a job. What they're looking at is preferences,
Mm-hmm.
flexibility in the job. So when we are designing jobs for the future, all the leaders will have to think about this aspect because this is not only about livelihood the way our earlier generations have done. Now people want to live life and they want to balance it the way they want to. Second uh, trend which I realized that again was I was traveling in a Uber and the driver was wearing glasses. They were like premium glasses. So I said, "I like your specs." So he said, "Sir, actually I'm a fashion designer." Then if you're a fashion designer, then why are you uh, driving Uber? You should take a job somewhere. He said, "Sir, sukoon." And which is like calmness is not there in the job. I said, "Why do you say that calmness is not there in the job?" He said, "Sir, Zaban, managers don't know how to talk. And I can't take that. And that was a realization that we work on n number of things: engagement, uh, longevity of employment. What gets missed is manager maturity. If your managers are mature, and leave apart mm, uh, maturity as a concept, as a bigger concept, thing is, if language can be improved, people know how to talk to people, which is like most of the organizations say respect, but how to make sure respect is happening. That is something. Otherwise, people will choose AI as a manager than choosing a human as a manager. And maybe that is something which we will see. And leadership also will have to figure out.
Thank you, Archie. I think this is so powerful. And for all the viewers out there, I think these are very important leadership lessons which are really required in today's time and you explain them in a very simple way. Thank you for that. Uh, Building on to that, when we speak about employability over employment, and in an era where job roles are getting redefined as skills are evolving faster than ever, so as per you, what should organizations and employees be doing differently to stay relevant and be future ready?
I believe there is a panic everywhere, and it
Hmm.
is a similar kind of panic which we go through every 8 years. If you see, the panic is like something in the environment has changed. If you remember ERPs, when ERPs came, uh, so that time the whole panic and the whole excitement was around um, that you have to implement ERP. A lot of people were excited, a lot of people were at the verge of losing their jobs. One important thing ERPs brought in, they said, uh, don't replicate your existing processes in ERP, try to work on the best practices. And I had that realization very recently, not
Hmm.
very recently, during the COVID, and I can translate it now. So, my son was having exams was about to have exams when the COVID happened. So, college was supposed to conduct the exams online. I was always a propagator of online, so I was very happy. Then the exams happened. So, teacher sat, uh, showed the question paper. Then, looking at that question paper, students wrote the answers on their answer sheets, which were at home. Then they scanned those answer sheets, uploaded those answer sheets in the system. Then teacher downloaded those answer sheets, checked them, again uploaded them. Someone again downloaded those answer sheets and totaled. Why I know that? Because there were totaling mistakes. And I was like, what have they done? Is this how you say that we have gone digital? If they would have used something like Google Forms, which was freely available, that would have been that, oh, you have gone digital. What we try to do is when we have good tools, we try to put our existing process on that tool. And this was happening in 2000, this was happening during COVID. And then I thought, let me do a little experiment. And I said,
Hmm.
uh, like, now is the AI age. If we have to do this now, so just imagine if you have to do this now, what will you do? So one of my colleagues said, "Look, now if we are doing it, we should have good, powerful proctoring engine. That if somebody is behind because people might do cheating." So I said, proctoring engine is a good suggestion, but are you reimagining this? Because all these answers you're talking about are already available on AI. Whatever questions you ask, the kid is going to put that in the AI engine and will get the answer. And The person is going to paste that answer here. Should you be checking the knowledge this way anymore in the
Mm.
current context? That is like, this is called AI native thinking when the environment around you have changed. Are you thinking your processes based on that new environment and capabilities you have got? Or you are still trying to put your old processes on the new platform? It will not work. And that is the biggest mindset shift which is required for employability. If we keep harping on the same skills which were there before AI, I know the transition has been very sharp as compared to the other transitions. But that is one thing which we will have to learn as a human race.
As you rightly point out, there's a lot of different way how industries are evolving, and particularly this shift has a very rapid curve. So we at LinkedIn are seeing that skills are evolving faster than ever. And professionals are trying to understand what AI means for them. Because typically, what they have also learned, or all of us have learned, is old while new bottle doesn't work, right? Older processes into newer technologies doesn't work. So when we think, or rather, I know we'd love to pick your brains. How are you thinking to prepare your organization and your employees, your leadership team primarily, for future where reinvention becomes constant? And how should learning become a culture?
Look, I will go on the other side of it.
Mhm.
Uh, so one aspect is that if there is something in, uh, if there is a path which future has charted for you, suppose everyone is talking about AI, and it is very good thing to adopt AI. It is like Microsoft Excel. It is a tool which has come, which is going to replace something like that and make you more productive. So you should adopt it. Now, if we use artificial intelligence and keep the natural intelligence aside, that is the worst thing we can do to ourselves.
Mhm.
And uh, we should be prepared about it, that that is something that should never happen to us. Second thing is, uh, look, there is no option that you can avoid AI. You have got a career site.
Mm.
Most of the organizations would have a career site. Now go to a software like Anti-Gravity and ask Anti-Gravity to create 1 million profiles on your career site. It will take your career site down. It is so easily available to everyone now who wants to sabotage what you are doing. So, what are you going to do with it? If you have to fight uh, these kind of loopholes which have been created in the system and which can be leveraged using AI tools, then it is an imperative that you start uh, learning AI in such a manner that and you will have to reinvent, reapply yourself, and see in the context. So, moment you start thinking in the AI native way, it is all in how you are finding solutions for yourself in the new ecosystem. And that is going to create power. And most of the people, if you are able to just tell, develop AI native thinking, you will be there.
It is so powerful that it's just not about learning or unlearning. It's all about changing that mindset to become AI native. Now, traditionally, Harjeet, we have always measured organizations by scale, by market share, or profitability to a large extent. Now, do you believe that the learning velocity will be the learning velocity, the ability to learn and relearn could become a defining competitive advantage for the next decade?
Of course, uh, because if everything is changing and
Mm,
things are changing fast,
mm,
then the only thing which will keep you floating is how fast you learn and adapt to
mm,
the environment. So, no doubt about it. Look, we have a habit.
mm,
We are like computers.
mm,
Actually, computers are like us because we created them.
mm,
So, if you take example of computers,
mm,
computers have something called random access memory, RAM.
mm,
What does RAM do? Whatever information you are using frequently, it stores that information in the RAM so that next time you need it, you use it
mm,
and it becomes faster. So
mm,
that is how humans also make thumb rules.
mm,
Uh, and there was an experiment which was done in 1950s. Uh, if somebody is standing in the queue and says, uh, please, can I go ahead of the queue and do a photocopy? So let's say 50% people will say yes. But if you just use a word because that uh, may I go forward and do a photocopy because I have to do photocopy. 90% people say yes. Because is a trigger which is there in the RAM.
mm,
And it was scientifically proven.
mhm,
So until unless you get rid of that because from your mind, if you are not unlearning that, then you are not applying yourself. You are not applying your entire computing capacity to decide. And most of the companies, actually, the success of companies depends on decision making of the leaders.
mhm,
Decision making makers have to unlearn what they have been using as thumb rules. Otherwise, in the new age, running the business is going to be extremely difficult. So, when you have to change your habits, develop new habits, it is easy. It can be done in 21 days. And
mm.
that is how you change your old habit. That is how you unlearn by learning new ways of doing it.
Again, for me, it is very thought provoking that you're able to bring in so many life examples over to the professional world in a way which is very palatable for the audience and for me personally. Uh, I know you have led through across industries through different economic cycles. And as we wrap up our conversation, I would love to end this on a personal note. For the next generation of leaders who aspire and to build organizations that are trusted, which are talent centric and globally influential, what is that one lesson that you would want them to build onto?
So I will again end with a story only.
Mm,
If you remember, India used to win all the hockey World Cups.
mhm,
We had the maximum Olympic gold medals, and that is why we are the nation with we are playing cricket, but our national game is hockey. Because
mm,
initially we were winning in hockey.
mm,
Do you realize why we stopped winning in hockey? Because somebody decided
mm,
to change the playing field. Earlier, we
mhm,
were playing on natural grass. They said, now, since the game has to be faster, we will play on artificial grass. And after that, India has never won
mm,
a World Cup because our kids never had that facility of artificial grass to practice on.
mm,
This time, when artificial intelligence is coming, we should have that infrastructure and we should provide our kids that infrastructure that they practice on artificial intelligence
mm,
and they should never to be left behind of anyone in the world.
Thank you so much, Harjeet. This is so powerful. I understand the context and how important this is going to be for our future generations of where they get this infrastructure. Kudos to you and your leadership and the organization who are actually building that. Over to you, Shivu. Thank you, Harjeet, once again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Siddharth.
Thanks a lot to both of you, Harjeet and Siddharth, for a truly insightful conversation. And all the stories will definitely leave a mark on our audience. I can say that with clarity. And one theme that has stood out throughout the discussion is that future of work may be shaped by technology, but success, of course, will ultimately be determined by mindset. So, as
Mm.
AI continues to redefine jobs, industries, and skills, the organizations that thrive will be those that build cultures of continuous learnings, adaptability, and reinvention. And as for individuals, employability may increasingly matter more than employment itself. From learning velocity and leadership adaptability to creating future ready organizations and talent ecosystems, today's conversation has highlighted that the leaders of tomorrow will not be those who know the most, but those who remain the most willing to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And on behalf of the Economic Times and LinkedIn, thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Hashtag Talent in Talks, the Talent Mindset Dialogue series. We'll see you again with another conversation soon, exploring the ideas, leadership perspectives, and talent trends that are shaping the future of work. Thank you so much for watching.